Chapter 3 False Hope. I groaned as I slowly regained my senses for the third time and looked around me. The same room, but something wasn't right. Is it not the same this time? I said slowly as my vision cleared. The lights blinked on and off and I realized I was somewhere else. It looks the same, but it feels different, I said slowly as I got to my feet. Still had the camera somehow. Did I enter another area through the slide, or did I do something to get here? I said as I looked around. The walls, the lights, the carpet, it was all the same, but something felt different. This place must have more than one room, so there has to be a way to easily get from room to room, right? That way is probably also how I got there, and here. I slowly began walking forwards, heading for the first doorway before I stopped in the doorframe. The hallway in front of me stretched on endlessly, millions of other corridors and rooms branching off of it. This place really might be infinite. It's not Earth and somewhere else, I said as I looked down at my camera that I'd held on to the entire time I'd been here, from the very second I got here in the beginning to now. I can escape, though. It'll take time, but there has to be a way out of this place, I said as I stared down the endless hallways in front of me. But until then, I'll document all of it, record all the monsters and entities I find, write down everything, record the rooms and traps, find stuff to watch out for, find an exit, find my way out of this place, whatever it is, I said as I looked around. Nothing but endless halls that all link together for hundreds of thousands of miles. I guess I'll just go straight. Maybe there's an outpost or something down here. I glanced behind me at the room I arrived in and shook my head. That room would quickly be gone as I went further in, disappearing into the endless maze as I got deeper and deeper into the level. I pointed my gaze straight ahead and began to run, careful to monitor my hunger and my energy levels this time so I wouldn't make the painful mistake of starving to death any more times than I needed to. Pushing myself to the point of exhaustion where I died. I didn't want to go through that again. I looked down each hallway as I ran, checking for changes in light or color, maybe even in hopes of finding other people or a peaceful entity of sorts. I'd already run into a few hostile ones. Nothing but endless halls answered my burning questions about this place. The constant hum of the fluorescent lights began to make its way back to the front of my brain as I sprinted down the main hallway, staying in a straight line so I could find my way back. This place really does make you insane, I muttered as I shook my head, hoping to shake away the constant humming that was driving into my brain. It's all the same, I said to myself as I looked down multiple endless corridors, both left and right, only to see no differences anywhere. If it's all the same, why does it not feel safe? Like something changed, yet the surrounding environment was kept the same as before. It doesn't make sense, I cried as I came to a stop in the middle of a small, cube-shaped room. How is there no end? I screamed as I turned in a circle, looking down every hall, every corridor, only to see the same thing. A vast infinite maze of similar hallways and flickering lights. I turned back to the main path to see it still stretched on. Even after running for as long as possible, there was still no visible end. I can't take it. I need to find a way back to my reality, back to sanity. I just want to leave, I said as I slowly trailed off until I was silent. I knew that I wasn't going to find any escape anytime soon. There was a chance I'd never get out of here. My reality wasn't mine anymore. Now I was part of a new one. Part of one I'd never get out of. A new reality full of danger and infinite rooms. A reality I would most likely never escape. I gotta find an elevator or a door, maybe another slide. That's probably a bad idea. Just an exit. A person. Where is everyone? What if I'm the only one here? What if there's no end? What if I'm stuck here forever? Will I ever go home? I said to myself as I stared mindlessly down the endless hallway I was in, not thinking about what was going on around me and just speaking the fears that were bouncing around in my head. I gotta continue, I said after I had stared blankly down the hallway for well over a minute. I snapped back my focus of getting back to the end of the corridor and took a shaky deep breath. Just keep running forwards, I said to myself as I began to run. Walking first, then sprinting down the empty corridor. Running through the empty pathway, my lungs slowly began to burn as I picked up speed. The pale yellow hallways quickly became a blur as I sprinted down the endless hallway in hopes of finding a way out. Something's wrong, I said as I slowed to a stop. I panted. The hair on the back of my neck stood up as chills went through my entire body. I looked around, trying to spot any entities or danger. Nothing. I gotta go, now. But something's not right. I looked around before kicking off the carpet and sprinting down the empty corridor. The corridor seemed fuller than it had originally. The constant hum of the lights slowly faded back to the back of my mind as I racked my brain for a solution of what could happen at that moment. At any moment, I came to a stop again and froze as a brisk, soft chill shot through my entire body in seconds. "Hello?" I called down in the empty hallway in front of me. The loud buzz of the lights was my only response. "Hello? Is someone there?" I cried as I stared down the empty hallway nervously, not wanting to move. No answer. The constant hum of the lights began to drown out my thoughts as I grew louder and louder in my head. "I gotta get out. Feels as though I'm being watched," I mumbled as I nervously looked around me. The air grew cold around me and I instantly began to run. I didn't have any idea where I was going or what I was running from, but I didn't want to find out. I didn't want to restart. I looked behind me to see an empty hallway. I slowly came to a stop to see I had veered off course and was now completely lost. What the fuck? So stupid. God, now I have no idea what to do. I lost the main hallway, I muttered as I looked down the infinite maze of rooms in front of me. No way out, I said quietly as I looked down at the camera in my hands. I had no idea what time it was, or the day. I was completely lost on where I was in reality I didn't know anything about. I need a clock. Or a weapon, yeah, a gun or something. I'm vulnerable to attacks from anything. I'm completely unprotected in a place infested with danger, it seems. Goosebumps began to creep along the back of my neck as I looked up to see the flickering lights. We'll ignore that. As I looked up to see the lights flickering like crazy in a hallway just about 30 feet away. Just what I needed. I said to myself as I turned around, facing a completely random corridor. I'm gonna fucking die here, I muttered as I kicked off the moist carpet and began to run. The constant hum of the fluorescent lights began to get louder and louder, the noise filling my brain and drowning out any sanity I had left. I glanced back to see the flickering lights had stopped. I slowed down and stared at the corridor I just ran from, gasping for air. Why is it gone? Where'd it go? I said in between breaths. The air behind me grew colder as I shivered as chills went through my entire body. I quickly turned around and screamed as I came face to face with the new entity. The creature exhaled, sending a wave of hot air directly into my face. Fuck. Don't move, I said quietly to myself, my body impaled with fear. Not even remembering the entity in the moment I said it, I just wanted to stay alive. The entity looked around, trying to see what had made the noise, as I immediately realized that the thing was blind. It hadn't seen me, it had only felt me and heard me. I looked up as I slowed my breathing to be almost silent. I stared directly at the entity's head. It had no eyes, just a large white mouth lined with hundreds of razor-sharp teeth. The entity looked around and began to move directly at me. I took a step back and froze as the entity immediately focused its gaze on my foot. It senses vibrations, I thought to myself as I held my breath in my lungs, hoping I wouldn't make noise by breathing. My lungs burned and my eyes welled up with tears as the pain in my chest flared. My head pounded as I struggled to stay conscious. It's not worth it. Breathe. I slowly let the air out of my lungs and looked up to see if the entity had heard me. The problem was that the entity had disappeared. I had lost track of the creature. It was gone.